Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Gaming with me, Tony Mo, and I'm very excited to be here today to talk about the full patch notes for the upcoming Update 1.1 for the Division. Update 1.1, of course, is the Incursions update. It's going to be adding assignments and Darkzone supply drops and gear score and gear sets, lots of exciting stuff, player trading. It's going to be wonderful. A lot of us are really looking forward to it, but I really wanted to know if there were any substantial changes being made to the core gameplay experience. You know, is anything happening in the Darkzone? Is anything happening with Phoenix credits and the different vendors? What is going on, Ubisoft? So I was really excited when they finally pushed out these patch notes, and today we're going to talk about them. We're not going to talk about everything. There's an insane amount of bug fixes, including some really big ones that have been preventing people from actually playing the game. There's some PC-specific bug fixes. I will, as always, have a link down in the description below to the full patch notes so you can check them out for yourself. But let's kind of gloss over some of this stuff, and then I really want to talk about the changes being made to the Darkzone. Because to me, this is a push to really evolve the Darkzone and to just make it a more user-friendly place. You know, a place where you can actually feel like you're progressing and acquiring gear and improving your agent over time. One of the small things, though, to note is that we actually have the names and the weapon types for the new high-end weapons that are going to be added with this update. So we're going to be seeing the Warlord, which is an assault rifle, the Valkyria, which is a submachine gun, and the Historian, which is a marksman rifle. Yeah, I know. Everyone's talking about that damn Historian. Unfortunately, they'll be implementing the Historian in patch 1.1, but you won't be able to acquire it in-game until update 1.2. Yeah, I don't know if they're just trying to tease us all to death because I really want to get my hands on that thing, and I really, fingers crossed that it's bolt action. I think it's going to be epic, and I can't wait to see what it looks like. Let's move forward, though, and let's talk about some of the other small, odd changes coming to the game. Number one, we're finally seeing that increase in Phoenix credits for killing level 31 and level 32 named enemies. So now level 30, 1 to 3 Phoenix credits, level 31, 2 to 4 Phoenix credits, and level 32, 3 to 5 Phoenix credits. It's just going to make, you know, heading to the Darkzone, killing named bosses a little bit more worth your time. Now this is one that I'm really excited about. Up until this point, recalibrating high-end items would cost you Phoenix credits, and I hated this system. I hated it to death. I'm already not a huge fan of the implementation of Phoenix credits, but when I'm sitting on a stack of 1 million in-game normal credits, and I've got all this gear that I want to reroll, but I can't, there's nothing more frustrating than that. So I'm very happy to say that now recalibrating high-end items will now cost normal credits instead of Phoenix credits. Thank you. Massive. Thank you so damn much. Now, there's also some substantial changes happening with the crafting. Now, you're probably going to feel one way or the other about this. You're not going to really care. You're going to say, whatever, I've got plenty of mats. You know, it is what it is. I understand the reasons behind this. And let's be honest, the only reason to make the changes that they're making to the crafting system is to attempt to elongate the process of acquiring and crafting high-end blueprints. That's really all it does, is it drags out that process. And I don't really, you know how I feel about the reasoning behind changing the crafting, if it's just for that. That's a little bit disconcerting. Like, you really need to make it take any longer? You know, is that really necessary? Do players really have such a large influx of crafting materials? They may think so, so that's why they're doing a lot of these changes. Essentially, converting crafting materials and crafting high-end items is going to cost more. They've increased the cost overall. For example, 10 high-end gold materials are required instead of 8 to craft 1 level 31 high-end gold item. They've also changed the yield of deconstructing standard and high-end items. So deconstructing a standard green item yields 1 material instead of 2, and deconstructing a high-end gold item yields 1 material instead of 2. On top of this, though, they've also added new level 31 and level 32 high-end item blueprints to the vendors. They've also removed division tech requirements from some level 31 high-end blueprints. So I feel like they're trying to do some balancing here. You know, they're trying to make some changes while also just making crafting something that requires more mats. You know, from my perspective, it's not going to really affect me. I have a lot of materials. I really genuinely do. I'm sitting on a lot of mats. I don't constantly re-roll blueprints, though. And I know some people have an obsession with min-maxing this game. It's something that my buddy Tony and I were talking about this morning. You know, there's a whole portion of the community that just feels like they have to craft 50 million black market AKs or vectors until they get that perfect roll. They're obsessed with it beyond belief. And I understand a game like this in the mechanics that exist in the Division allow for min-maxing. And I know some people, they get their kicks from that. They really enjoy it. That's okay. But I feel like if you're going to roll 40 blueprints for a vector and then complain about there not being enough mats in the game, that's kind of on you. The great thing about the Division, in my opinion, is that it's not a game that really requires min-maxing. It's not necessary because it's still a third-person shooter. So much of the game still relies on player skill. You know, it's why my squad, which often only consists of 3 people, can run challenge mode every day of the week without any issue. Yeah, it's actually challenging and we really have to communicate and work together, but we rely on the hodgepodge of gear that we currently have. Some of the, the other 2 dudes in my squad, they play far less than I do. They have far less high-end gear. Their gear rolls aren't as great, but we have solid agent builds. We play with roles, we have a healer, we have a CC, we have our DPS/tank, and because of that, we have great synergy and we can still be effective. We can still really enjoy the game. We don't have to min-max it to death. But like I said, I understand that is something that people enjoy doing. But just know, if you want to roll 10 or 15 different, blueprints for your vector, it's going to cost you. It's as simple as that. And that's all I really want to say about crafting. I think we're just going to have to wait and see how it actually feels. How often we are actually being forced to go out and farm materials, which is something that I have never done in this game. I do not farm Division tech even. I don't. I do not do that sort of thing. I'll pick it up when I see it, but you won't see me like on this route hobbling through the DZ farming equipment. I refuse to play that way, and it's not something that's necessary right now, but maybe with these changes it will become necessary, and maybe my opinion will change on this whole situation. Let's move forward though and talk about the most substantial change coming with this patch, and that is the alteration to just about everything regarding acquiring high-end and superior items in the DZ. So to start, that juicy, beautiful vendor up in the church safe house that always has the amazing blueprints, he will now sell items in Darkzone funds rather than Phoenix credits. Thank you so damn much. As I said, I feel that Phoenix credits are really out of place in this game, and that there are so many reasons to consider removing them entirely, but at least at this point, we will no longer be restricted from purchasing stuff from that vendor due to a lack of Phoenix credits. Rank requirements for superior and high-end quality items at Darkzone vendors have been adjusted. This is the big one, guys. This is going to completely change the way that you acquire gear and progress in the Darkzone, and I promise you it is 100% for the better. So number 1, superior purple items are now rank 15 instead of 30, as it should have been from the get-go. High-end gold level 30 with a gear score of 163 is now rank 25 instead of 50. Yeah, you see the big change already? I know a lot of you are already sitting there like, dude, I'm rank 27 in the DZ. I can finally buy those blueprints. Yay! I feel you too, man. My heart it's all warm inside. Last but not least, high-end gold level 31 items with a gear score of 182 will be rank 40 instead of 50. You no longer need to reach rank 50 to acquire some of the best blueprints in the Darkzone. Hallelujah to the Darkzone gods. Thank you so damn much. I have said from the get-go that rank 50 was way too high of a requirement. It made this awful gap. You hit rank 30, okay, I can buy some purple weapons. Completely useless to the player. It's just, why do I want to buy purple items when I'm rank 30 and I'm already acquiring high-end gear from running challenge mode and from boss drops and Darkzone chests in the environment? It made no sense whatsoever. So there's now that midway point with rank 25, and then you only have to push to rank 40. It's a whole 10 levels lower than it was to finally start acquiring proper high-end level 31 item gear. Wonderful. And of course, you recognize that they now have thrown the gear score into the mix. So what they've also done is add a new Darkzone bracket for characters with gear score 160. What this does is it really helps separate those of you who just hit item level or rank 30 in the real game who are now heading into the rank 30 bracket in the Darkzone. You're like, yay! I'm so excited to go into the Darkzone. I've been holding off until rank 30. This is going to be so much fun. Previously, you'd walk in there. There's a guy with like the best high-end level 31 item gear in the game, and he just absolutely annihilates you. And that's not fun from a PvP perspective. That's not fun at all. This is going to help separate that. So really now you're only going to see people with high-end equipment, you know, who are finally starting to substantially gear themselves, dealing with other people in the same situation. You'll never be smashed into that firefight if you just entered the DZ and you're sitting there with a bunch of superior items, which is fantastic. That's great. It makes the Darkzone so much more friendly for new rank 30 players heading into the DZ for the first time. And that's just, there's nothing but positives to be said about that. Now, part of me wishes they would create another bracket and separate gear score 160 and gear score 180. But I understand the concerns when you really start to split the Darkzone into that many different instances. You know, you have to say, okay, are we going to have enough players in these instances now? That's definitely a concern and consideration. Although, there's a ridiculous amount of people playing the Division. So, maybe that's something that could be done. Maybe that's something that will be considered in the future. But right now, we'll have to be happy with what they're giving us. That is it, guys. That's all the goodness. I'm really stoked about these Darkzone changes. I'm very much looking forward to day one. Patch 1.1 goes live. I can head into the Darkzone. I can finally buy some of that ridiculous rank 50 gear. I can finally start to, you know, feel like there's a reason to spend my Darkzone funds and to improve my character through the vendors that exist in the Darkzone to get ready for the freaking incursions. Whew. So, it's actually not that far away. As I'm talking to you guys right now, it's less than a week away. We're going to be seeing it drop on Tuesday. I'm going to be spending a bunch of time checking out all of the new stuff that's going to exist in Update 1.1, trading and gear sets and the assignments, the Darkzone supply drops, which I'm really looking forward to. And you guys can definitely expect to see a slew of content coming from me regarding Update 1.1, pretty much starting day and date with its launch. If you have any questions regarding anything that I've talked about here, if you'd like to voice your thoughts and opinions on some of those gameplay changes, like the alterations to crafting, the changes coming to the Darkzone, feel free to throw your thoughts down in the comment section below. Stay safe out there, agents, and I will see you in the next one.